Perfect. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our first webinar of our series in the Books That Drive Rivers of Revenue webinar series. It is fantastic to have you here this morning, and thank you so much for turning up. If you're in the area like we are and it's pouring with rain, we really appreciate the fact that you're here. I'm sure you've all got loads on. And if you're lucky enough to be where the sun is shining, then we are all very envious of you, and I hope you're enjoying that sunshine. So my name is Rachel Burke. I'm the co-founder and head trainer at SalesSpace. And at SalesSpace, we teach people how to be masterful at selling without ever sounding salesy. We have worked with many thought leaders and authors. And I'm incredibly excited to be co-hosting this webinar today, which is with one of my favorite people, Kath Walters, who is absolutely the most extraordinary book coach and one of Australia's #1 book coaches. So Kath and I are going to be running this webinar together. I'll hand it over to Kath to speak in a moment. But our webinar today, as it says on the screen, is Overnight Authority, the 9 things you must know to write a brilliant business book in 90 days. Now, let me just admit something very, I'm going to admit this all to you. I'm one of those people who have not written my book yet. It is 80% of the way through, sitting in the files in my computer, has caused me a lot of grief over the last 5 years because I have put enormous amounts of work into it and has never seen the light of day and never actually got to that finish point. I am tortured by that because I would love to have had a number of books by now. Kath has been working with us for the last couple of years, and this September, we are getting our first book out, and I'm sure it will be the first of many. And we are incredibly excited. I talk we, my husband, and very amazing business partner colleagues. We will be putting out our first book this, writing it from September and launching it at the start of next year. And I'm sure it will be the first of many that we will be doing with the help of Kath, because she actually is extraordinary at this. So many of our clients work with Kath and have worked with Kath in the past or are currently working with her. And the rave reviews she gets is quite extraordinary. So I feel very lucky to be able to have Kath in our community and to be working with her ourselves, but also to bring her to you today to host this webinar for us. Putting a webinar together, as some of you may know, there's a lot of moving parts. You think it's going to be like that easy, and then, whoa, there's a lot that goes on. So I know Kath has worked very hard to put this together for you, and it is brilliant information that you are going to be so grateful to Kath for getting you to come along for this hour, and so she can share her wisdom with us. So Kath, over to you.
Thank you, Rachel. So, hello, my name's Kath Walters, and I'm the founder of Brain to Book in 90 Days, and helping people to write books that make them proud to share with the world. That's what really lights me up about the work I do. I'm an ex-journalist, and that might give you some insights into my style today. I'm curious, I'm a straight shooter, and I have the ability to get people to hit deadlines they think are impossible. As a professional writer, I have written for some of Australia's top publications, and that includes Australian Financial Review and Business Review Weekly. So my writing reached around 40,000 readers a week for 14 years. What that means for you is that I know readers, including business readers. I know what they want. I know what they're expecting from us. And I've been giving them what they want and expect for over 2 decades. So today, I really want to share with you the 9 essentials that you must know to write a brilliant book in 90 days. It's tricky, isn't it? As coaches and trainers and speakers, we face so many calls on our marketing budget. You know, it's the brochures, it's the websites, the podcasts. Which is it to be, or which one is coming first? And the different advice is confusing and never ending. So Brain to Book launched 5 years ago, and I've now helped dozens of authors to realize their dream of writing a brilliant book in 90 days. And as a result of writing those books, they've won respect, they've commanded attention in their field, and they have earned more money more easily. So I've used the 3 books that I've written in exactly the same way. So throughout this 60-minute session today, I'm going to show you the type of results to expect and exactly how I've used them myself to create authority-defining books for myself and for the authors that I've worked with. And then is it okay if I then give you the same opportunity to do the same thing? So yeah, everybody on board with that? So as you would have gathered by now, because of all the cameras here, that this is a participatory webinar. So here's how to participate. There's 2 ways. Firstly, I just want you to grab a piece of paper and number it from 1 to 9, because I'm going to ask you some yes/no answers to the questions that I'm going to pose to you, and you're going to write it down. So I want you to put a column in the left with the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I want you to have a column with yes at the top and a column with no at the top. And you're going, when I ask you the question for number 1, for example, you're going to tick yes or no. So I hope everybody's on board with it. Now, there's one other aspect I'm just going to ask Rachel to explain, which is that we're going to do something a little bit electronic as well. So can you take us through that, Rachel?
Yes, absolutely. So hang on, I'm just going to spotlight me. Okay, so we're also going to be running a Zoom poll, and that makes it nice and interactive. So I've asked Kat to, sharing these 9 points is really valuable to make it a quiz and to make it more fun, and so that you are really involved and actually sharing with us the results as we go through makes this even better. So when Kat goes through her 9 points, at the end she's going to ask you a question. The poll is going to come up on the screen. For those of you some of you will have done a Zoom poll before, some of you have not, but it's really easy. The poll will come up onto the screen, and you just answer yes or no. And then Lauren, who's our office manager, she's behind the scenes, and she will also show the results for us. So please, everybody, get involved so that we've got a really good group here with and a good cross section of everybody, so we can see the results. Because it's really interesting what you've already put in place and what people are and have not done yet. Now, when you do click the poll, when you do click say yes or no, it does take, for some computers, about 5 seconds to register that. So we've been practicing this morning and we clicked it and nothing happened, and then all of a sudden it's submitted. So if it takes a few seconds to do that, just be patient. That's absolutely fine, and it is still working. All right, so I know Kath has asked you to get a sheet of paper out. So you've got questions 1 to 9. So write down the points as Kath's saying them. So write what it is. When she says this is number 1, you write that. And then when she asks you the question about that, you can write on your piece of paper, so you've got your results as well. Yes, so tick yes or no. So I go 1 to 9 down the page, then I've got another column that says yes and another column that says no, and I just put a tick in either of the correct columns. So you're doing both polls and the sheets of paper. All right, back to you, Kat.
Fantastic. Thanks, Rachel. So let's get started. So the number 1 that you must know to write a brilliant book in 90 days, I think Rachel's going to share us the slide with this, is to start with who. So just, yeah. So the number 1 reason most people struggle to write their book, or really get stuck in the middle of writing their book and have it sitting down there in the basement for 5 years, is because they don't know who they're writing for. But when I ask would-be authors what's stopping them from writing their books, they say a bunch of things. They say things like, I don't know where to start. I don't know how to structure my ideas. I've got too many ideas. Or I don't enjoy writing, or I love writing but go round and round in circles. Or maybe I'm a perfectionist, yeah? So these are all very real reasons. But in my experience, the true reason authors can't get started is this: they don't know who they're writing for. They think they know, but when we work together, they discover they haven't gone deep enough to define their reader, because the best books are written for narrow audiences. So there is a reason authors don't want to choose the reader. Narrowing your audience takes guts. And here's the thing, it goes against the grain for intelligent people like you to narrow down your focus to a defined audience. In fact, if you're thinking to yourself right now, this woman is a nut, it shows just how smart you are. So let me explain. So in a TED Talk with over 2 million views, scientist Alex Wisner-Gross proposes an equation for intelligence. He says, intelligence should be viewed as a physical process that tries to maximize future freedom of action and avoid constraints in its own future. So let me summarize Alex Wisner-Gross's idea in this way, with apologies. Yeah, smart people don't make a choice until the last minute. So the problem is this: you can't get your book started or finish your book and get it published unless you narrow your audience with forensic precision. In my experience, you must really write for a single person who really exists. And in the case of a big business book, who you've worked with in the past. So that person must represent the ideal client for you, who you'd really love to work with again. And whether you call this person who you're writing a book for an avatar or a persona, that doesn't really matter. This is one of the biggest mental hacks you can use to write a brilliant book. So here is question number 1. Have you narrowed down the audience for your book to a single person who exists and stress tested your choice? So yes or no. So put it on the piece of paper, put it in the poll. The poll's coming up, I think, for you. Yes, it is. Just answer in the box there, yes or no. And I'm asking you about a single person who exists and that you've stress tested that choice. Okay, fantastic. Now, I think we can end the poll now and share some results. Yes. Okay, so 82% of you said no to that, and 18% said you have. So well done, first step. So let me just move now on to number 2. So number 2 that you must do to write a brilliant book is choose your best ideas. So imagine if you were asked to write a book that teaches the Prime Minister how to scramble eggs. So immediately you'd know what tone of voice to use and what content to include. So politicians like to impress people, so you might give some plating up advice. You might add some glossy photos to inspire her. But now, imagine if you were asked to write the same book for a 4-year-old. Immediately you embrace a bunch of different ideas. You probably start with simpler instructions. You might use diagrams, not photos. So when you know who you're writing for, you can choose your best ideas. Yes, the content's the same, scrambled eggs, but you include fresh ideas according to the audience you're writing for. And you just do this with ease, your instinct kicks in, you just know. So almost every client who's come to me in the last few years has had too many book ideas. They've had too many ideas for one book. So to choose the best ideas, we do what I've set out. So step 1, get clear about the audience. You start with who. And step 2, use that clarity to decide which of your ideas to include in your book. So there is a way, one of the most powerful ways really to come up with the best ideas for your audience is to think about what excites and energizes you. So authors share a common characteristic, a certain level of frustration that drives you to write your book. In your role as a thought leader, as an expert in your field, you see people suffer when they make the same mistakes that you've made, and they suffer needlessly. Why? Because they're acting on misinformation or myths. They don't have the knowledge they need to make the right choices, just like you didn't have the right information until you developed your expertise. So authors burn to name myths, to destroy them. And they feel driven, excuse me, to replace those irksome myths with their valuable messages. Messages that help people change their lives and make their lives better. So, question number 2. Have you written down the 7 myths that make your audience suffer so needlessly and the 7 messages you're burning to share? Yes or no? Write it on your piece of paper, bang it into the poll. We will see what happens here. Poll numbers are coming in. And I think we have got all of them. And the answer is, oh no, there's still a few coming in here. So I'm going to give you another second or two. And the answer, I think we share the results here. The answer is 100% no. So that's one to work on. So number 3. So what's the number 3 of the things that you must do? You've got to nail your book outline. So if you want to reach any destination, right, it helps if you have a roadmap. And that's the same if you want to write a book and do it in 90 days. And this is where many people get stuck. The answer is adopt a tried and true strategy. So it goes like this: 3 chapters about why your readers should read your book. It's about the problems they have. 3 chapters about what makes the way you think about their problems different to other experts. And 3 chapters about how to inspire your readers to solve their problems using your ideas. So why choose a structure when you start? Because the 2 most common traps for writers that stop you writing and publishing your book are changing your ideas and changing your structure. So I've seen authors revise their ideas and their structures for years, and what happens? Nothing. Their books stay unwritten, and unwritten books don't unlock leads. So if your purpose in writing a book is to amuse yourself, that doesn't matter. But if you're writing a book to help other people and to establish your authority, you cannot help them until your book's in your hands. So use a simple structure that's tried and true: why, what, and how. You might feel getting a strict structure inhibits your creativity. I disagree with that. The masters in any field are creative within a structure. And I think, for example, of tennis. Now, there's a structured way of spending your time, right? Bunch of rules, bunch of lines. But if you've ever watched the tennis greats like Serena Williams or Rafael Nadal play, you will see creativity on fire in how they interpret that game within the rules. Creativity within a tried and true structure. So here comes question number 3. Have you structured your book into 3 chapters about why, 3 chapters about what, and 3 chapters about how? Yes or no? Let's give you a chance to answer the poll. Okay, answers are coming in thick and fast. Yep. Okay. So far, we've got 100% on no. Waiting for another couple of answers. You might be juggling paper and juggling polls. I think we can share it now, Lauren. So we would say that is 100% of no. So thank you for your answers and thank you for your honesty. Let's move to number 4, what you must have. Number 4, to write a brilliant book in 90 days is to flesh out your ideas. So far, you've narrowed down your audience and your ideas. Now you need to go deeper and get depth into those ideas. So you do this by planning your chapters using 7 questions that work like magic to deepen your ideas and make them really shine like diamonds. There are 7 questions in the mind of every reader as they read, and it doesn't matter what industry they come from or what social background or educational standard they have. So these questions are so powerful that your reader will feel like you're kind of reading your mind when you answer them in your book. So here is question number 4. Do you know the 7 questions that work like magic to deepen your ideas and make them shine like diamonds? Yes or no? Here comes the poll results. Looking for a yes in here. Getting no's, lots of no's. Okay, so it's looking like we have, I think we've got the top. Yep, so we've got 100% no there. So thank you very much for being honest about where you're at. We're going to talk more about this later. So number 5 must have in the process of writing a brilliant book is to avoid the 3 biggest writing mistakes. Now, in my experience, you don't need to be an amazing writer to write a brilliant book. You just need to know who you're writing for and what you're saying. But there are common mistakes made by both new and experienced writers alike. And making these mistakes will undermine your authority with your audience and disrupt their openness to your ideas. So the number one mistake made by far too many writers in this, the number one mistake made by writers, is not to include storybooks, because every book is a storybook. So it doesn't matter if it's fiction or non-fiction, every book is a storybook. You use stories to prove a point and to make your point memorable. So if you don't believe me, how did Newton discover gravity? So we all automatically remember the story of the apple falling on Newton's head, whether or not it really happened. So here is question number 5. Do you know the 3 common writing mistakes and how to avoid them? Yes or no? Poll answers are coming in thick and fast. And we have a yes. We have a yes. We have, I think, no, we have no yeses. We have 100% no's again. Thank you very much for answering my questions. So let's look at the number 6 on this list. This is called writing at a gallop. So do you want to save 75% of the time that other authors spend getting to their first draft? Yep. Who doesn't? Okay. So the answer is to record it. So when I wrote my book, Overnight Authority, How to Win Respect, Command Attention, and Earn More Money by Writing a Book in 90 Days, I interviewed myself to write the first draft. I planned out what I wanted to say. I used my own chapter plan. And then I sat on a banana chair in the back garden talking to myself. Hey, Kath, I asked myself, what's the message in this chapter, you know? And I'd say, oh, well, Kath, and I'd talk about what it was. I'm really not sure what my neighbours thought. Excuse me. But using this method and getting my recording transcribed and edited by the editor in my program, I got my first draft written in under 2 days, including the planning. So why does this efficiency matter? So let me quote the best-selling author Anne Lamott in her book, Bird by Bird, Instructions on Writing and Life. Anne Lamott says, every great writer writes a terrible first draft. That's right. Your first draft isn't going to be brilliant. So if you can get it written fast, you can commit more time to polish. And what happens when you polish anything, a book included? Its brilliance shines out. So most authors can write, my authors in my program can write a brilliant book in 90 days because they commit to getting their first draft done fast and polishing it to brilliant. So question number 6. Have you estimated the time to write your first draft as under 2 days? Yes or no? Here comes the polls. Okay, thank you. Coming in. Yep. And we have 100% no again. We're going to talk about this later. Don't worry, I won't leave you there. Okay, so let's have a look at number 7 in the list of must-haves. And this is apply the 7-step review. So there's a diminishing law of returns when polishing your book, you know. You first polish, you know, the first time you polish your book, it might improve your first draft by as much as 40%. The next time it's maybe 10%, the next time it's maybe 5%. So my 7-step review is very thorough and it will lift the quality of your book to at least 80% of brilliant. So obviously you want it to be 100% of brilliant, right? And I will show you how to get there in a moment. But the first thing you need to do is polish your book to 80% of brilliant. That is enough for the second draft. So, by the way, you know, in this reviewing stage, I'm not even talking about typos or grammatical errors, you know. This is not about doing stuff that an editor can do for you and do better than you can. That would be a complete waste of your time. You need to spend your time on the work that only you can do, you know. So there are 2 categories of my polish, in my 7-step review: 2 steps about structure and 5 steps about style. So one of the easiest steps about style is this: remove all the ly words. So that's right, the road to hell is paved with adverbs, according to the great American novelist Stephen King. So I agree with this. Almost all adverbs end in ly, and adverbs don't add to your authority. So you're going to search them out and you're going to destroy them. But they're so seductive, you know, they're like the sirens of the writing world. They're sort of singing an irresistible melody to lure us onto the rock and shipwreck our writing. Or more simply, adverbs undermine your authority. So the way that I find them, I spot them, is I actually do a search for ly with a space after it, sorry, and it doesn't capture every adverb, but it is a really splendid start. So, and adverbs are part of speech that qualifies or modifies another word, phrase, or sentence. And the problem isn't adverbs themselves, but that adverbs proliferate. So adverbs make your writing seem breathless and exaggerated, and that's not the voice of authority. So how can you read your writing of adverbs? Not in the first draft. You know, in the first draft, you know, get out your adverb machine and spray around. But in your second draft, I want you to search and destroy them by using the search function in Google Docs or Word, and then you're picking up most of them and then being ruthless. So leave only the adverbs that, if removed, make the sentence incomprehensible. That's how ruthless I get. This is just one of the 7 steps that my clients use to polish their writing to 80% of brilliance. So I'm going to ask you question number 7. To polish your writing tips, do you have the 7 steps to polish your writing that will improve it to 80% of brilliant? Yes or no? So the polls are coming in. You're amazing in that you're very, very honest in this session, and we have another 100% zero. So no one has the 7 steps, but we won't leave you suffering that fate. Okay, fantastic. I think we're ready to share. I think that's it, Lauren. So yeah. Okay, so let's go to step number 8. This is such a joyful step. Yeah, so let first readers help you reach your target audience. Before you launch your book onto the world, launch to first readers first. These are a select group, maybe 3 or 4 of your supporters. And these first readers are not your peers or your heroes. They are your who. They're the people who are in your target reader group. So I live in a block of 9 flats in Maribyrnong in Melbourne's West. And I bought this flat in 2010. And one of my neighbours, Chris, still lives here, which is nice. But in the whole time I've been living here, Chris has been writing a book, and he's still writing the same book. Not good. So I don't want you to be that guy. I'm sorry, Chris. I want you to get your book out there and overcome the natural fear of getting it to your target reader. So the first step to finishing your manuscript is to overcome your fears. First readers help you. They really help you overcome your inner critic. And the tricky part about approaching people to read your book and give you feedback is that it's a pretty big and daunting task for them to actually do this reading. So here's a tip about that. You can help make it easier for them by giving them questions to ask themselves as they read. So the questions you ask are going to make sure that your readers really do help you. And if you don't give your first readers that guidance, then it's possible that they'll do really unhelpful things like correct your grammar and spelling, and that's something you'll get done later by an editor. If you skip the important step of sharing your book with first readers, you just won't get the vital tips that they can provide if you ask them the right questions. And the feedback you get from your first readers will lift the quality of your book by at least 10% and much more in many cases. So first readers are like a beta software product. You know, they tell you how to tweak your book and make it better. And in doing so, they help you overcome your doubts. So let's go to question 8. Do you have a list of 5 to 8 questions that you know will make your book more brilliant if your readers address them? Is that a yes or is that a no? Fire away into the poll, and thank you very much. Sharing the results here. Go for it. Doing really well. I think we've got as many as we're going to get there. Thank you for answering. Answer is 100% no. So let's have a look at number 9. The very final of the essentials that help you to write a brilliant book in 90 days. Number 9, get published. So who would have guessed that this would be the last step, right? Of course, it's just the beginning of the next phase. You've got to get your book edited, designed, printed, and out into the world, because you simply cannot help anybody or become the authority in your industry until your book is done and in front of the people who need it. So quality editing, design, and printing, it's going to add at least 10% to the brilliance of your book, and probably much, much more. So the question number 9 is this: do you have a publishing strategy? Yes or no? Let me know what you think. And answers are coming in. And we've got 100% no's. So, Rachel, what are we going to do about this now? I want to, let's have a look at how everybody did, and I want to just ask you a little bit more about these questions, right? So let's see which out of the 9 essentials most sort of resonated with you today and are going to most likely give you the most improvement as an author. And I'd love you to enter your answers into the chat box with these couple of questions, right? So which of the 9 essentials that are now on the screen, which one do you feel would be the most challenging for you? Which of these would be the most challenging? Just drop it into the. Look, I just noticed on the chat, in fact, that David does have a publishing strategy, so that's fantastic. So that's going to change the results there. So which of these 9 points do you think might give you the most challenge? Just drop your thoughts into the chat box. Is it narrowing your audience to one person? Is it the 7 myths and messages? I personally love that one. Is it structuring your book into the why, what, and how? Is it asking the 7 questions or understanding the common writing mistakes? Yeah. Is it getting to that first draft in under 2 days? Polishing your writing to 80% using the 7 steps? Or is it a list of 5 to 8 questions to ask first readers, or the publishing strategy? So just give us a feel for where, so I've got some different answers coming in now. I'm getting sort of 2, 4, so it's quite a spread. 8, 3, 6, a couple of 6s, a 3 and a 2 and a 5. So there's quite a range here that are going to be the most challenging. So here's a much nicer question. Which one of these do you think might be the easiest to master? Which of these essentials could be your sweet spot? So, drop it in the chat there, starting from Bernard. He said number 1. Oh, nice one, Bernard. Wayne said number 2. So we're getting some results in. We've got questions 1. Okay, people are feeling really confident about the reader. That's so good, because it's that number 1 thing. It's the number 1 reason. A lot of number 1s. People are really feeling that they're comfortable with that. So that is terrific to see. So you're willing to go deep, pick one person and stress test that choice, and then write a whole book for one person, which is terrific. So Rachel, how did you go? What did we discover today?
Thank you very much, and thank you everybody for your participation in that in the quiz. And what a fantastic hour we've just spent with, almost an hour we've spent with Kath. Thank you so much. That was mind-blowing in terms of what we need to do to get this book happening and do it properly. And 2 of my favorite words, all of you here who are already Sales Space clients, my 2 favorite words are efficient and effective. And I like things that are done in the shortest amount of time, but they need to be incredibly effective. And I think that that is one thing that I definitely know that you deliver, Kath, in spades. And also a book that we are very proud of, because I know so many of your clients who just rave about not only the process of working with you, but also how proud they are of the book that they have created. And then they go back for sequels, because they see the power and the positioning and the rivers of revenue that can come when you've got a book that really works for you. And that is why Kath and I love working together as a team. One thing that Kath does incredibly well is get you to write a brilliant business book in 90 days. One thing that we do at Sales Space incredibly well is help you put together your sales strategy and the sales processes around that book so that you bring it to life. It is what happens whilst you're writing it. It's pre-launch, it's during the launch, and it's post-launch. The strategy around all of that, and also how to make sure you maximize every bit of effort that you've put into writing your book. So that's why Kath and I have teamed up together because we know that this is rather a powerhouse union and we can help you get the most out of every bit of your effort. So what I would love to share with you now, so thank you, Kath. So just stay with us for a couple of minutes because I'm going to share with you what's next. If you are really keen to know more and to start delving deeply into at least step number one, which is going to change your world if you're going to write your book. So first of all, let me put myself down here in the corner. Okay, Kath and I are running a full day masterclass called The Truth About Books That Drive Rivers of Revenue. And as I said, it's a webinar, it's a masterclass, it's a live masterclass with Kath running a 3-hour session in the morning, and I'm running the 3-hour session in the afternoon. It's on Wednesday, the 27th of April, 9:30 to 4:30. Session 1, start with who. You are going to go deep dive, and I'll tell you a little bit more about this with Kath about your who. Session 2 in the afternoon is the reader deep dive. So let me tell you exactly what that means. So session 1 in the morning, a VIP guided session with Kath Walters to uncover what are your readers' problems? What are the reasons for those problems? And also, what are the impacts of those problems? Now, this is a session that just will give you incredible clarity into who you've got to write this book for. And then after lunch, I'm going to take you on a really deep dive into your reader. And we are going to do a detailed targeting session that will enable you to create a deep unconscious bond with your readers. Write stories that capture your readers' hearts and minds, and also have your readers know exactly what they want to buy from you when they read your book, which is a critical piece of information. It's a critical understanding that you need to have. So let's have a look at a couple of case studies of people who have worked with Kath just recently. Genevieve Hawkins, if I put myself up here so I don't cover Genevieve's name, she wrote Mentally at Work. She deferred writing her book for years. She was struggling to organize her ideas. One second, sorry. She loved the brain to book structure. And when she worked with Kath, she sold over 1,000 books and appeared on many podcasts. She was invited to speak to multiple $10,000 speaking gigs at McKinsey & Co. So Genevieve said, I thought I could write my book on my own, but now I understand why so many authors never get to the finish line. Like me, I can say that. It's because they didn't have Kath Walters. Her framework, her ability to hold me to account, her encouragement and her questions, that enabled Mentally at Work to get out into the world and have the impact I wanted to have. Now let's look at another book by 7 Stories by Mike Adams. 7 stories every salesperson must tell. Not sure if he could even write a book. Worked the brain to book system hard to create a gorgeous book. Mike said, using Kath Walters' unique approach, my book became an Amazon #1 bestseller in its category in the UK, US, and Australia. I've appeared on 50 plus podcasts and built a growing clientele of Fortune 100 companies. And just a couple of our testimonials as well. Donna McGeorge, some of you may know Donna, she is a very well-known thought leader. There is no question in my mind that I would not have reached my level of success without Rachel. My income has now doubled. And Georgie Smith, Georgie has just finished writing her book, and I know you're on this webinar now, Georgie. Rachel is more than a master sales trainer. She is an indispensable partner in my success. Clients who have Rachel at their fingertips are so lucky. Thank you, Georgie. And also from Ishan, I have never seen mentors take so much time and interest to study the individual participants and their business in detail. So impressive. This program is world class. I received an email over the weekend from Ishan. He's just hit black belt he's now a black belt thought leader. Which any of you who know the black belt community, that is sales of 720 in a 12-month period. So I'm very proud of Ishan and everything he has achieved as well. So let's have a look at this masterclass. As I said, full day masterclass with Kath and I. We sell this for $1,497. Today we're selling it for $297, which is absolutely a no-brainer. Also invaluable bonuses from Kath. I said, Kath, give us everything you can that is going to make this just the most incredible offer to all of you listening today. You're also going to get a copy of Kath's book, Overnight Authority, How to Win Respect, Command Attention and Earn More Money. Kath's Overnight Authority Roadmap. Exclusive access to Kath's Express Writing Room for 3 months, which is something she has never offered to external clients before. Exclusive access to Kath's LinkedIn for Authors, her full system for authors to use LinkedIn to grow your business. What this includes is explanatory videos, connection and lead generation scripts, a list of automation tools you will need, all the automation tools you will need, I should say, the systematic approach required to build your ideal connections on LinkedIn and engage them in a non-salesy sales conversation. You will also get Kath's ebook, How to Write a Best-Selling Book Title. So to book for today's price and to get all of Kath's bonuses, Lauren, if you can put this link into the chat now, that would be fantastic. So this is the link, or you can so copy and paste it from the chat and click on this link to get this master full day with the two of us for $297, and the coupon code there is Truth2903. So today's date, Truth2903, and Truth is all in capitals, as you can see. The offer is available for the next 2 hours only. So jump in there and go for it. If you can't do that date, please email us or put it in the chat that you can't do that date, but please put me down for the next one, because I know dates can sometimes be tricky. But if you're thinking of writing your book in particular this year, do whatever you can to move mountains to join us for this day, because you will be blown away by the clarity that you can achieve. So that is our masterclass. Also, if you are here and you haven't booked in for my webinar next week, which is the 7 steps to sales success for ambitious authors. So if you would like to book for that, that's the next free webinar in our series to follow on from this one from Kath. That's next Tuesday at 10 o'clock. So next Tuesday, the 5th of April at 10 a.m. Go to salespace.com.au and register for that. There's a big registration button right there on our homepage. So that is it for us today, and I want to thank you all for being here. It has been an absolute pleasure to be working with you, and thank you so much, Kath, and everybody else. It's been wonderful. So we look forward to seeing you in the masterclass and in the webinar next Tuesday as well. All of this is vital information if you are going to write a book that brings rivers of revenue to your business. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you again soon. See you later.
Thank you so much for joining us today.